Alright, for this video we're going to talk about the DEA forms and obviously focus on 222. So your DEA forms, 222, it need to be kept for 2 years. That's what we're starting with. Ready, retrievable. It's for the purchase, distribution, or transfers of a C2 and a C1s. There is the CSOC, Controlled Substance Ordering System. It can be an electronic substitute for the DEA Form 222 when ordering Schedule 1 and Schedule 2s. You can also order 3, 4, and 5 products from the CSOC. You must register with the DEA to use the CSOC. It cannot be endorsed, and you should report transactions to the DEA within 2 days. You'd use a DEA Form 222 to sell Controlled 2 substances to a pharmacy to pharmacy. And of course, if you do this, you can't move more than 5% of your product. You also would use it for pharmacy to practitioner when C2s are involved. If it's 3 or 5, it's an invoice, and still that 5% rule applies when you're moving controlled substances. If you go over 5%, you would have to register it. I assume you would have to register as a distributor, which would be DEA Form 225. So do send your, well, we'll do that at the end, talk about the copies. So when a pharmacy wants C2s from wholesalers, it's a DEA Form 222 is required. Even when it's wholesale to pharmacy, DEA Form 222. If you're moving a Controlled 2 substance, DEA Form 222. You do not need it when it's long-term care facility. That's typically for a patient. So you only can order 10 different drugs at a time on the DEA Form 222. If you're using the CSOC, there's no limit. Only the DEA registered or person with power of attorney can use DEA Form 222. You can get copies of DEA Form 222 when doing DEA Form 224, which is registering for as a retail pharmacy, hospital, clinic, teaching, practice, or mid-level practitioner. The CSOC orders cannot be corrected, so you must start a new one. And if it's, if your orders are denied, the purchaser is required to keep the paperwork on that, not the supplier. Now, going on the copies, if you're the purchaser, if you're purchasing from another pharmacy, if you're the prescriber purchasing it from a pharmacy, if you're anyone purchasing, you keep the blue copy, which is copy 3. You keep the last copy. You send the top 2 copies, or copy 1 and copy 2, to the supplier. That's the brown and green copies. The brown copy is kept by the supplier, and the green copy is sent to the DEA. The green copy does have a back to endorse if the supplier is going to give the purchase to someone else, and they would use that. The copy 2 is sent to the DEA by the end of the month as well. So the supplier does fill in the NDC, etc. If the supplier sends a partial shipment, they must supply the balance within 60 days from the date the 222 was executed. So moving on to some of your other forms. Just another example, pharmacy to pharmacy, you have to use 222. The supplying pharmacy would send the green copies to you. The buying, nope, I'm saying that wrong. So, see, it's very confusing. Pharmacy to pharmacy, the pharmacy buying will keep copy blue, and they will send the top 2 copies to you, the supplier, and you will take the brown and green copies, send your green to the DEA, and you keep your brown as your supply, which is copy 1, and you send your drugs over to the blue copy, which is the purchaser. Alright, so some other forms, random ones you probably don't need to know is 363, which is a OTP, opioid treatment program. To register as that, it's a 363. For destruction of a C3, 4, and 5, do just keep record of that, and you do have to register as to destroy things, and not sure the DEA form for that. You can try to find that. 224, register for retail, hospital, clinic, teaching, practitioner, or a mid-level practitioner. 224, 225 is for manufacturers and distributors, and 225 is renewed every 3 years. Of note, USPS does not need to register with the DEA. They do have their own rules, and you can check that on the controlled substance videos. DEA Form 41 is destruction of a C2. And if you do a reverse distributor, when you do that, so say you have C2s to destroy and you want to send it to the distributor, a reverse distributor, you actually do have to do form 222, and then the reverse distributor does form 41. And then there's also 106, which is theft or loss, and you do that within 24 hours of discovering of the loss of the controlled substance. And something to note about the 106, you actually do 4 copies of that. And if you even lose your DA forms, you also do a 106. But you do 4 copies of your DA form 106, report the theft. So the DA gets the original and a copy. Alabama Board of Pharmacy gets 1 copy, and you keep 1 copy for your records. Alright, this should be the last video. I'm going to do one more non-prescription drugs, but I'm sure you're not watching this in order, but thanks.